What's up, witches?
So I'm Linda,
And I'm John,
and this is Getting Witchy,
getting witchy, and we today have
a special guest.
Storm Faerywolf, a very interesting individual,
Yes.
um, and a very interesting book, The Witch's Name, and how to find yours.
Hello, it's working. Yay.
Hi.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Hello. So disregard my email. It wasn't letting me, the link that you gave me wasn't letting me in. But then when I did it manually with the meeting ID number and password, then it worked. But yeah, the
It's
link was
weird
not
how that
working.
happens sometimes,
Yeah.
but thank you.
Don't you just love technology?
I love it when it works.
Right.
Which these days isn't as often as I think it used to be.
Or it should be at this point.
Right.
Oh my god, I know, with all the stuff, especially like, oh, the amazing AI. I'm like, oh, really? Yeah. There's no I in AI, but
Right.
anyway, let me get this adjusted here. Okay, I guess I'm in the middle.
So thank you
How are
for
you guys
joining
doing?
us.
I was gonna say thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Welcome to our podcast. It's Getting Witchy. And we talk about all things magical or otherwise.
Wonderful. Well, I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Awesome. Good.
But
Your book was awesome, first of all.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
So the exercises that you listed in throughout the book, what was their
inspiration?
yes, thank you. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I mean, a lot of it is based on stuff that I went through trial and error, kind of growing up in the craft, if you will. And of course, I've been a teacher for a long time. And so these are questions that I've received from various students over the years, and I've kind of tweaked things, accordingly. So it just basically was, came from out of that. It was more necessity than anything. And if I do say so myself, I think I'm good at writing exercises. So that tends to be what my books are populated with, because I really believe that witchcraft is not a spectator sport.
No, you have to
definitely
you have to participate.
You have to participate. You have to do something. You have to put the energy into it.
Absolutely. And so there is work involved, and so definitely all of my books are kind of work heavy. So I definitely wanted there to be practical stuff. But even like journaling, as you notice, I have journal prompts and things because I wanted to inspire people. I don't want to tell people this is how to do it,
right?
So much as here's some ways that you can do it. Maybe this will inspire you on your journey. Just some things to think about.
And that aspect of it is awesome. I personally, because I've studied other books. You may be familiar with at least one of them, Bucky's Big Blue Book.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And it's designed similarly as far as having like lessons in there and things that you must do. But then there's also, was it something Craig?
Oh, Modern Magic.
Magic, where he does.
Oh, Donald Michael Craig.
Yes. And I just found it compelling that you had a similar approach to things, and it actually seemed quite fascinating.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
One question I had though was because like I've been a witch for probably 27 years now. But in the other books that I have read, nobody ever mentioned something that you mentioned, which was the alpha, beta, and gamma spirits.
Oh, okay. Well, they probably have, but just maybe not in that terminology, because it does show up.
Like guardians.
Well, I know in Anderson fairy tradition, we have a model of the three souls, and but we find that also in some other forms of the craft, maybe not called that. I know in Gardnerian, you might draw from the Cauldrons of Posey, which of course is the ancient Irish poem that talks about everyone is born with 3 cauldrons in them,
Right.
you know, and many other spiritual systems also, you know, will draw from this kind of tripartite nature. If you're looking at like Taoism, Chinese medicine, you have the 3 dantians, you know, so it actually is this common thing, but it's all these different names, you know, and they're not exactly the same. I don't want to say that one cultural expression is identical to,
Right.
you know, the similar thing that this other culture did, but there's definitely a crossover. But the alpha, beta, gamma spirit, that was definitely terminology that stems back to the late Cora Anderson, one of the founders of Anderson Faery. And I used it in there just because I thought maybe that would be more accessible, because usually the terms that I use in Faery are talker, fetch, and the holy daemon. And I think I have kind of reverted back to that. That's just sounds more witchy to me. So, but alpha, beta, gamma. It also feels like maybe this lines up with brainwave states. I'm not here to say that that's true because I'm not a scientist and I haven't done any of the research on that. But it does seem to fit, you know. So we'll, I don't know, maybe the jury is out on that one. But yeah, I tend to I've reverted back to talker, fetch, and holy daemon just because I'm like, well, it just sounds more witchy. So people will get on board or they won't.
Right.
No.
Well, I did have a question and I just lost it.
Oh, see, and I saw you had a question, and so I was referring.
I do that all the time.
I apologize.
No, you're fine.
So I know you mentioned your realizing your name. You talked about D&D.
Yeah, I didn't do well in D&D. One of the arguments, one of the insults that I would, because of course I get insulted fairly a lot for being out there and for having a strange name. But one of the insults I would get is, you sound like a D&D failure. And I will say that's accurate because I didn't do well, you know, with D&D when I tried, you know, to play. Although I don't really take it as an insult. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, I did not mean
people try to insult you.
Now that you mention it, I realized that that's basically what you said in the book, and I apologize. I wasn't trying to.
Oh no, that's totally fine. Not at all.
I found it kind of. Now I don't want to say humorous, but the way you described it was humorous.
Thank you.
And it got my attention and I wanted to read more. And I know that was pretty much at the very beginning, but I just, that for some reason that caught me. You identify, do you play D&D?
No, I don't. I play video games. I tried. I just didn't do well with it. I think that I don't know where I am on the neurospicy spectrum. Definitely video games. I'm definitely a video game person. And I definitely like the whole like fantasy genre.
Okay.
Whenever I play like an MMO RPG, I always want to be like the elf magic user.
The mage.
You know, so that's always what I'm always going to be an elf mage. Exactly. Yeah. I'm always going to do that. And people are like, don't you want to try something different? Don't you want to be a warrior or a cleric? No, not really. No, I won't. Just give me my elf mage and I'm good to go. So,
so now that we're completely off topic, which I don't know if you've seen any of our videos, that happens a lot.
That's fine. That's totally me.
So what would you say your favorite, is it Elder Scrolls or is it, what's your favorite?
I mean, I liked Elder Scrolls. I haven't played them in a while just because I, busy with other stuff. And then I will say I play a silly little Star Trek iPhone game and that takes up a lot of my time. But I did play Elder Scrolls Online. The one that I really loved, and it's not around anymore, was Rift.
Yes.
And
I didn't play it. My little brother did, and my mother did for a little while.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that's cool.
That one. Yeah, but
one of my partners, Devin Hunter, him and I played Rift for a little while, and then back when we had PCs,
yes,
and then the whole house we switched to Mac, and then we were mortified that they didn't have a Mac version of Rift. And so we went through this whole thing of like, oh, are we going to use parallels or, whatever? And that never happened. And then Rift shut down.
Yeah.
They so I was very upset. I did play World of Warcraft a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I never really got into. I was more of a Call of Duty.
Oh, okay. It's like blank. I don't know. I don't know what that is.
And Fallout. I'm huge on Fallout. And not just because of the show, which I love the show, but
I love the show. I don't think I'd like I don't like first person shooter game. I don't like the army kind of stuff game. Even like the sci-fi game. I love sci-fi, but like sci-fi games, like Mass Effect. It was fun to watch somebody else play it.
Yeah, I tried Mass Effect and I just couldn't no. I couldn't.
I like the mythology, like the story of it was great, and whatever, but I don't know, it's a little too stressful. I like cute. I'm going to default to cute games. Or my Star Trek game, which I guess is it's pretty low stakes, and you're blowing up ships, but there's no blood.
So if there was one thing, and I know you're super busy, and but if there was one thing that you wanted somebody to, in a nutshell, and I realize this might be a difficult question, but in a nutshell, what would you want someone to get from your book? Because there's a lot of good information in this.
Thank you.
There's a lot of power in the name. And that's why oftentimes in witches' histories, they would keep their name secret.
Mm-hmm.
And also why entities would keep their name secret,
mm-hmm.
To where we couldn't command them to do things. What one thing would you like someone to get from your to call it just a book is because it's smaller than Bucky's Big Blue Book, smaller than the other gentleman Craig that we talked, but it's got all kinds of info in here and lessons and things to keep the person busy and build that magical energy.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think that, God, if there's just one thing that I want people to take away from it, I want to give people permission to experiment. I want to give people the inspiration to experiment, to try things on their own, to feel it out. Even just today,
and it's okay to make mistakes.
Absolutely. That's part of experimentation. I think that we learn more from our quote unquote failures than we generally do from our successes. We really, really then integrate what we're learning. If it doesn't work, especially if it blows up in your face, you're really going to learn something from that. You will. I got really good at, hopefully I'm not inviting anything now, by saying this, but, I got really good at reversing and dismantling curses, because being a public warlock, I've been the recipient, quite a few times, people sending stuff my way. And then you have to deal with it. And once you have to actually deal with it, then you learn how to deal with it. Right. And so, and now it doesn't really affect me. I'm going to knock on wood, so I want to tell people that, hey, it's okay, to experiment and to learn, and that there's no one right way, even just today, I was on Facebook, which I should never do. And there was a group, it was like
very little, I'll be honest.
Yeah. I try to do it just for like promoting my stuff. Cause this is what I do for a living. I don't have a regular job. I teach the craft, and maybe I give private sessions and, that kind of stuff. And then I write my books. That is it. That is my calling. And that's what I do. So it's certainly not the most lucrative job, but it's my calling. Right. Okay. But I was on Facebook and I saw one of those groups like Witchcraft for Beginners or whatever. And I've always tried to be accessible into things like that, to see like newbies and what are they asking.
Some of their
and whatever.
That were pretty, I'm sorry.
Some of them, I mean, here's the thing. I don't feel
You
bad
could look it
about
up yourself.
questions. Yeah, a lot of that's true. But what I really get from a lot of people is there's a lot of people are scared. They're scared to do things wrong because they really have been fed this idea that, oh, witchcraft is dangerous, right? Well, yeah, witchcraft is dangerous, but in the same way that any spiritual path is dangerous, that you are going to learn more about yourself.
Right.
And that's dangerous because then it's like, ultimately, it is intense. You know, you're going to recognize, hey, these are my demons. These are the complexes that are living in my shadow. And now that I know that that's there, I have to take responsibility for it. So that's pretty dangerous, right? Because that gives us an opportunity to maybe change who we are on some level, right? Or to deny it. And that's another choice, people will make. But in this instance, somebody was asking about choosing their official witch's name, and did they have to be given that by an elder, and and they didn't have any elders near them or whatever. So they had been given this idea that, first of all, that they had to have a witch's name, which is not true at all. Nobody has to choose.
Be bestowed upon them by somebody.
And then it has to be bestowed upon them. Yeah, and then it was so interesting watching. Now, first of all, the question, it's a valid question, right? This person doesn't know. They're asking a question in good faith,
Right.
The responses, however, there were so many responses that were like, yes, absolutely. You have to be given your name, from an elder. You cannot choose your own name. If you choose your own name, that's just hubris and blah, blah, blah. And then there was a lot of insults about, types of names, probably along the lines of my name, and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is just terrible. Right. But I thought that was pretty auspicious for me to read that this morning, knowing that I'm coming here to talk about my book, so, but yeah, I think that a lot of people have a lot of fear about magic, and yet they're drawn to it, and that's
and
understandable.
Also picking the name, or not picking the name, but figuring out what like mine came to me. It came to me, and that's what it's been. But
valid.
Others, struggle with the concept or idea of, or how to do, as you just talked about. So it's a challenge, and you've got a lot of really good info in there for people.
Thank you. I mean, and the struggle is real. I struggled with it. And I talked about that honestly, in my book. One of the things that I struggled with was particularly the wolf element, because I just felt like, looking back, I realized, the reason I rejected it for so long is I thought it was too powerful, and I thought it was too common, because there's a lot of wolves.
Well, and
there's a lot of ravens.
And that's something I was thinking about too. When magical names became the thing in, I think it was the late 80s to mid 90s.
I'd say that's probably
90s, 2000s. For me,
Raven everything, wolf everything. So I was thinking about that too. So
I was inspired first, I think, along those lines by Starhawk. And of course, she wrote The Spiral Dance, and that came out in 1979. So I would have read that in the 80s, and probably like late 88, 89. And, so that was definitely inspirational for me. And I knew that it was something along those lines. I knew, because it sounded magical. It sounded also natural. And it was something that was so different than the mainstream. And I just knew that was my calling, was to be different than the mainstream, and, so I knew that I wanted a public magical name. I also have private magical names, plural.
Yeah.
I have one name that it's only me and the gods know,
right.
And then I have other names that are specific to different traditions, that I'm in, that only initiates of that tradition might know me by that name. And then, of course, Storm Faerywolf is my public magical name. But it's also just my name now. That's just what I go by every day, because I'm an everyday warlock, right? Everything I do is magical. That's the point of living
Right.
with a magical name 24/7. I'm casting a spell on myself. It doesn't have anything to do with other people. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't realize. They look at a name like mine, they're like, oh, he's just egotistical. He's just trying to draw attention to himself and, whatever. And okay, interesting. You don't know me, but you feel
Right.
comfortable like making these grand proclamations. I did it because I'm trying to force myself to remember that I'm in the world but not of it.
You're more
That, that
than the flesh and
yeah,
bone.
yeah. That we're all here together. We're all human.
Yep.
Obviously, we're all here together. But I am a witch, a warlock. First and foremost, every day, 24/7. I strive to live as a resource for the craft. And I'm an eternal student of the craft. This is what I do. This is my big calling.
Can
Is to be a
I
priest of this tradition.
can I if I may, I would like to ask a question.
Sure.
And I'm not trying to be argumentative in any way. Um, I've admittedly got into the craft by accident at about age 10. I'm 58. Did a spell that was really too good for my age, and then it scared the shit out of me, and didn't get back to it until I was in my 20s, late 20s. But every bit of research I've done states that the term warlock is an insult to a person who practices magic. That it's not considered a good thing. So I'm curious your take on it.
Yeah, no, and thank you for the question. It's obviously something that I deal with a lot.
Okay.
And my first answer here, I don't mean it to sound insulting to the masses, but most people in paganism are not scholars. And I'm not saying that I'm a scholar, but there is a definite area of research that I think that it would behoove us as a collective to look at, and that's etymology. And to understand the rules of etymology and language, then we start to understand that words change meaning
Yes, they
over
do.
time. And just because a word may have had an original meaning doesn't necessarily mean that that's what the true meaning is now for a word. There's plenty of words that we use today that have even the opposite meaning
Of
of
what
what they
they
used
What
to
they
be.
started out as.
Yeah.
But definitely warlock, 500 years ago, a little more than 500 years ago, it definitely meant an oath breaker, a deceiver. It was the breaker of covenants, but it was a firmly Christian era word. And so when we're talking about the breaking of covenants, a breaking of your oath, we're really specifically talking about oaths to the church. And so men who were accused of witchcraft were often labeled as warlocks. I think there's also a little bit of gender inequality that's happening there too. Warlock being used as an insult, not by pagans today, but more historically, because it's basically saying, oh, you're a man who's practicing this womanly art, right? Witchcraft being a feminine expression of magic. And so if you are a man practicing that, not only are you in league with the devil, but you're also betraying your gender, right? And so I think that's definitely carries, some of that as well. But for the past 500 years, warlock has simply meant a male witch. So if we pagans today, if we crack open a dictionary, that's what it will say, because language changes, over time. So when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, because I just turned 55, a couple months ago, I was told, thank you very much. I was told, oh, you'll never be a real man, growing up queer, and, so that was definitely something I kind of had this idea that like masculinity was something that was not available to me, right? Because, oh, I'm a gay man, I'm not a real man, and that took me some time to kind of process. but also growing up, you would hear like in the mainstream the word warlock being used just as a male witch. I cut
But
my
usually
teeth
the
on
bad guy.
episodes of Bewitched.
But usually the bad guy.
Maybe. I mean,
Except
but
for
again,
Bewitched.
if you're like in Bewitched, then it's like, that's Uncle Arthur,
Yeah.
whatever. He
Yeah.
was a warlock, just all the men, her dad was a warlock, and that is the dictionary term. Now, in terms of modern paganism, it's possible we might trace this idea of warlock being a particularly pagan insult. We might trace that to Gerald Gardner. And it kind of seems like he just made it up because it made him sound like he had this special insider knowledge. Now, I'm not here to say that's definitely where it came from. I do feel like that is where it came from, but I don't have the reference in my head.
No,
right now.
You're good. I've
but
read enough. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But there isn't any historical evidence that supports the modern pagan claims that warlock is an insult. Sometimes you will hear specifically, "Oh, warlock." If a witch betrayed them and was turned out of the coven, they were branded a warlock. That doesn't exist in the historical record.
Right.
That if you can find references that predate the 20th century, like pagan authors, I'd be all ears. But that just hasn't happened yet. And so it seems like it was simply like some assertions that were made, poor scholarly work, and then it just kind of took off like wildfire. But I use the word warlock in part to challenge that, to make people actually look things up.
To have this conversation.
To have this conversation.
Yes.
But also, I will say, it is a little bit of gender euphoria when I refer to myself as a warlock, because masculine in a witchcraft way. So part of my work is to reinforce the connection with what we might call the divine masculine, right? As opposed to toxic masculinity. So I feel like to call myself a warlock is to fully embrace my gender. I'm a cisgender male, and I'm claiming that. It might be a different type of masculinity than something like, I don't know, Joe Rogan, and thank the gods, we are definitely a different gender. But I'm a man. I'm just a different type of man. And so as a warlock, I'm claiming my masculinity in however I choose to define that, but I'm also claiming my magical heritage.
Nice.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well spoken.
And if you want to learn more, I am on my website, faerywolf.com/warlock. And I have some articles that I wrote about it, and I link to other stuff when I find it on the web. But there's a growing number of men in the craft that are embracing the term, now. So it certainly is a growing movement, in the same way that our sisters reclaimed the word witch.
Right.
It was used to mean an ugly old woman at one point. And so, I'd be hard pressed to say that to my priestess sisters now, so they did a lot of work to reclaim witch, and rightly so. But now, my brothers are working to reclaim warlock in the same way.
Awesome. Well, I was curious. I did not mean to. Well, obviously my question was based on theatrical and media driven concepts of the word.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot. Again, we were talking about D&D earlier, and I think that one of the things with the warlocks is in that genre, if I'm not mistaken, I've heard them described as like magical sugar babies, right? You have like your spirit daddy or whatever, giving you power or whatever. And then in some other ones, it's like, oh, the warlocks draw life force, away from people in order to power their spells, so it seems a little bit more sinister and whatever. But none of that is in the dictionary definition. Now, that might be later, because language is democratic. And so the more people that will use warlock in a particular way, if that gains popularity, then that's what the word will mean, because words they change meaning over time. Yes. One of my favorite examples is the symbols. Word. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. One of my favorite examples is the word brave. Because originally the word brave meant cowardice. And yet no one's going to use that word to mean cowardice today,
Why does that
or the
sound
word
familiar?
decimate. Decimate, you just think, oh, everything's destroyed, but decimate referred specifically to like the destruction of 10%. It meant getting rid of
That was a
10% of
big
something
number.
was to decimate. It was a big, yeah. So, but now it's
When
like,
you're talking about a
it's,
field or a crop.
or the word literally, right? This is the one that gets me because it now doesn't mean what it meant. They changed the definition of literally, and now it just means figuratively. And so we literally don't have a word that means literally
anymore.
So
right.
This is the downside to democracy language, I guess. But, oh well, roll with them punches.
Did you have?
I actually do.
Okay.
So earlier you mentioned that one thing you would like people to take away from your book is that they have permission to not only name themselves, but also you've mentioned, like, if your name doesn't fit, like if you try one on for a while and it doesn't fit, like you have permission to change it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's actually something that I ran into, because I did choose my name back in the late 90s when I first started out. And at the time it did fit. Within about 10 years, though, I went through so much crap, not only in my personal life and my magical life, but like it seemed like everything was falling down around me, that once I came out the other end of this total crap storm I had gone through for 10 years, it didn't seem to fit anymore.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And part of it was that I chose part of it because it meant, to me, it meant pure, like a pure soul. And at the end of this 10 years, I was no longer a pure soul. So it was like, this doesn't fit me anymore. But I haven't yet chosen a new name. Because for me, I kind of feel like I really don't need one.
Yeah.
And if I choose one, it's going to be because I want it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and to see that you actually like give that permission to, first off, you don't even need one, but if you want one, definitely take one, like build it up for yourself.
Nobody needs, well, I shouldn't say nobody needs one. You might feel that you need one, and maybe then you do, but it's not a blanket assertion. Everybody needs to have their official witch name, whatever. No, that's just nobody.
You don't need that to perform magic.
No,
absolutely not. But it is a powerful tool.
It is.
And I will say it's one of the most powerful tools in our arsenal. And even if it is just private, you never say this to anybody else. That's a powerful relationship to have. With yourself.
There is power in the name. If somebody knows that name, they can pull your power or command you or something, and you guys
influence your life
or influence you. Yes. And I think it's interesting that y'all brought up D&D earlier, because the only game that I've ever played is actually based off of D&D. It's called Planescape's Torment and came out in like 98, and I've been playing it ever since. I think I've beaten it like a dozen times now, but I still go back to play it. One of the things that they mention in this game is because the character you play, he has no name. He's literally named the Nameless One. And they talk about how if something knows your true name, like it can control you, or it could steal your power away. There's an NPC character who gives his name and his personal number to another character, and then she runs off with it and like benefits. So it's like all these different aspects of this game where they are taking into consideration the thing, like with the fairy tale Rumpelstiltskin. If you know the true name, you can destroy it. And I found it very interesting and reassuring that you did mention pretty much that in the book, that especially if you're going to take one that you want to keep private, keep it private, between you and gods. That way nobody else can mess with your energy, your magic, your relationship with your gods.
Yeah, I mean, I mention it primarily because I mean it is long-standing occult tradition.
Yeah.
That if you know something's true name, and we might come back to that because I would say that something's true name is not necessarily the same as like their witch name,
Right.
or their pagan name or magical name, whatever. Those could be different things. Even the special name that I have just with myself, my private name. Would I say that's my true name? Not necessarily. I kind of feel like the true name is something that cannot be pronounced. It's really more of an energy. And in the book, I do talk about some of the ideas that one's true name is really kind of like a musical note or like a chord, a vibration, an energy. And so that might not be something that we can actually put into human language, but we might attempt it. And so some of these exercises are maybe about kind of tapping into some of that energy and then maybe approximating it with a sound or a reference, some type of name element. But when I approach that particular idea, that if something has your true name, they could have power over you. First of all, I don't want to delve into the fear aspect of it because I think people will give it too much power. When they're coming at it from like, oh no, I don't want anyone to, to mess with me, and they're gonna have power over me. And I say, we want to be cautious, in the same way that, like, I don't know, when you go to the mall or grocery store or whatever, you're going to lock your car, whatever. And you're not doing it because you're necessarily afraid. You're not sitting there like, oh my God, someone's going to break into my car. No, you just lock your car and you go and
Right.
go get your stuff done and come back. I think a lot of people will put too much energy on the fear part of it. And so I'm trying to steer away from that while at the same time honoring that tradition that if somebody has more intimate information about you that is a little bit more close energetically that they can be, and so we want to take our precautions, um, but also people could take it really extreme. I see people online saying, oh no, you can never post pictures of your altars because if somebody knows what your altar looks like, they can do magic against you. And I personally, if that's your belief, I'm not here to say that you're wrong, but I don't have any patience for it. Right. I just feel like that's mostly just living in fear. Right. And can't we? I want to share my pretty altars, whatever. Now, I don't share pictures of work that's in progress.
No, and I thought about that earlier. I forget what we were talking about, but I thought of that, and now you're mentioning it. But yeah, keep secret what you have going on until it's done.
Until it's done. Yeah. And then maybe I might share a picture of an altar or working that I've done a year later, or whatever. So I have pictures of stuff and then like, oh yeah, I forgot, I'll post this now. But I'm certainly not going to post it while it's in process. Right. Because I just feel like it's very malleable and I don't want people even subconsciously tugging on it, Right. Well, and so I'm going to wait till it's done.
Yeah, not everybody who smiles at you is your friend either. So,
right.
Don't
I know it?
If it's out there, anybody who might not want to see you succeed might,
even if it's subconsciously,
bad energy towards it. I have actually very recently seen, I think it was a post on Threads where somebody was basically saying like, quit posting pictures of your altars, quit posting pictures of your works that are in progress because you never know like who's doing stuff at it. We've posted pictures of our altars, but usually I will take the picture and then put something on the altar to kind of change it a little bit and then post it so that it's not exactly the same.
Yep. I've done the same thing with sigils because one of the services that I offer the public is I make custom sigils for people for different purposes. And there have been times when I've shared them, like when I'm, promoting, hey, this is the service that I do. So I have shared some sigils that I've made, but I will change them. If I made it for somebody else, that's unique to them.
Right.
But I might use it as an example. So I'm going to go ahead and go in there and change it. So any personal information, because I will often include the client's name into the sigil somehow, usually through rendering letters. And I'll take that part out, or I'll substitute something else and, add something else in it to kind of change the energy, just to give an idea of that this is the kind of work that I do, but it's now no longer energetically attached to that particular outcome. So there are some precautions, obviously, that I will take, because anything can be a tag lock. Anything really can be this magical connection. But so can your profile picture, your name on Facebook, your unique URL for your profile on Facebook or Blue Sky. People could use that as a sort of digital personal concerns, a digital tag lock, and whatever. So if you're online, there is always some type of connection that somebody could use to exploit. But are you going to stop living your life? No, we're going to take precautions. So, I do protection work. I've got a good, council of spirits around me that helps protect and mitigate, some of that stuff. And I do cleansing work all the time, and so those are the things you do. What's that?
And a good firewall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And use a VPN.
Well, we certainly appreciate your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me on.
I'm sorry, where are you located again?
I'm in the San Francisco area.
Okay,
so I'm in Antioch.
You said that was at the very beginning of the freaking book.
That's okay.
Sorry.
I don't expect you to remember everything I wrote.
Sorry.
I don't remember everything I wrote. So people ask me questions. Well, you said this here. Did I?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Hold on.
Because I wrote it and now it's over.
Right. What we appreciate. Did you have anything else?
No. I think that was it for me. I mean, I do love you actually have one called History, Myth, and Literature chapter in here, where it actually goes through like some of the names people pull from those that are, I guess, either commonly used or interestingly used. But yeah, I mean, he had to fight me for the book.
Anyway,
that's great to hear. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. I did want it to be something more than just like a dictionary of names.
Right.
I mean, we've certainly seen those types of books out there, and that's great. I think we need those, but I wanted it to be something that's more personal, so that me sharing my story, of how my name came about and how I fought against it and how it changed, over the years. I thought that was probably important for people to hear. But also just hoping to inspire people to take the reins. This is your life, so don't wait for somebody else to give you a name. Now that could be if you're part of a tradition in which that happens.
Well, I don't understand.
I'm not talking down to that.
It's similar to tarot. There is this belief that, and we've talked about this with guests as well as in a completely separate episode, but there is this belief that your first tarot deck or your tarot deck should be given to you, gifted to you. Like you can't go pick your own deck of tarot cards.
Oh my gosh.
So it's kind of it's on the same grounds. It's like, well,
it is.
Who said?
It's like an urban legend in a way.
Yeah. Like who said you can't just go buy?
Who started that? Well, and I've certainly heard. I've heard all parts of that argument. All over the spectrum. For 13 plus years, my husband and I owned a metaphysical shop, here in the Bay Area, and we closed it when COVID happened, and didn't look back, and it was great. But for the time, we had the largest selection of tarot and oracle decks in the Bay Area. And we had a lot of open decks so people could come and test them out. But we would hear all these stories, and certainly we would hear that one, like, oh, you have to be gifted
right
your first tarot. Then we would hear, no, you can't be gifted it. You have to choose it based on the artwork. That's more my style, but I would never say that's how you have to do it.
Right.
But then I also heard some people say, oh no, your first tarot deck must be stolen. And I was like, what? First of all, as a store owner,
Yeah, I know.
shut the front door. No, that is not
Right.
that is not happening. But people would believe it. And it was if somebody said this to them, a long time ago, and they took it as gospel and they ran with it. And there's a lot of really bad information out there. Um, there is no one right way, But I will say there is a wrong way. Don't freaking steal your tarot cards.
Right.
Right. That's crap. Never heard that one, but that that math works considering the world we're in today.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of cluelessness. We also had there was a bunch of people that came in and they were looking at our decks, and I noticed that they were using their smartphone and they were like taking pictures, and then I realized they were taking pictures of the barcode. And then this woman turned to her friend and said, "Oh, yeah, I'll just order it for cheaper on Amazon." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, you're literally using my storefront in order to buy from like major competitor," right?
Right.
Like, oh man, the cluelessness. And then people wonder why metaphysical shops like have evaporated over the past 30 years, So, there's a lot of bad info out there.
We've seen a couple close down in our area. There's one or two that are hanging on, and we have a really big one. It's more of a crystal shop than a metaphysical, because that's pretty much all they have.
Right.
But the metaphysical shops are starting to dwindle, unfortunately. That's why when we go out thrifting and exploring, as we call it, if we go to a shop, we have to buy something. We have to buy something.
Yeah. Oh, same, absolutely. Yeah. There's so many that closed down. Where I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, I would say 30, 35 years ago, there was a lot more shops, and you could pick and choose and everything. And now they've almost all gone by the wayside. And I will say there is a shop, it's a couple hours away from me, but we all love Moonkissed in Santa Cruz, California. So if any of your listeners are in the Santa Cruz, California area, please check out Moonkissed. And got my fingers crossed. We're actually working with the owner. We're probably going to be going out there and doing some regular classes and stuff at her shop and everything. Yeah. Really, really awesome.
We do the same thing supporting for a local store called Dragon Star here in the Phoenix Metro Mesa area.
Oh, right on.
Like if people are in the area, stop by and see her. Jane would be happy to take care of whatever they need.
Yeah, I always am telling people, if you can get stuff at a local, first of all, a local metaphysical shop, but then even beyond that, if you don't have a local metaphysical shop, if you have a local independent bookstore, please patronize them, and then if nothing else, you want to order books from me, sure. I have a website, we have a store, we have an online store, daturatrading.com. We sell dress candles and oils, and my husband does a lot of woodworking, like divination products, and of course we all four of us, collectively, we call ourselves the Four Locks. That would be myself, my husband, Chaz Bogan, my partner, Devin Hunter, and our partner,
I'm
Matt
sorry,
Oren.
that was cute as hell.
I can't take credit for that. I think that was just somebody online. They just dubbed us the Four Locks, and we ran with it. So, but yeah, we all sell signed copies of our books on our website. But I'll still encourage people, like, if you have a shop though, local, yeah, you're not going to be able to get it signed, for me, because I'm not there. But still try to support those shops, and then as a last resort, you maybe order it from me. And yeah, sometimes all you have access to is Amazon. And I get it that's, we want to not support Amazon as much as we can. But for some people, depending on where you're located, that might be your only option, and so I don't want to demonize that, because people want to get, I encourage reading, I think that's great. And also check out your local library.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And if they don't have our books, ask them if they can get them, because, I think that's great. I just want people to read the stuff and to not pirate it. That would be great, since that's how I eat. Please don't steal my books. AI already did it. So don't be like AI,
Well, thank you. I don't have anything else.
I don't either.
Do you have anything you would like to add? It's been an absolute
Um,
pleasure, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, this has been delightful. Thank you so much for having me on. I guess only thing I'd like to say, shameless plug,
Of course.
That's
is
okay.
if your listeners are inclined to do so, please check out our teaching website, which is modernwitchuniversity.com. And we have a lot of different classes that we offer there. The big one is our Black Rose Witchcraft course, which is a 1 year, I put that in air quotes because it actually takes as long as you need it to take, but a 1 year online course in the craft, informed by Wicca, informed by folk magic, informed by sabbatic craft, by fairy tradition. So it's not just Wicca, but it definitely
What was
gives
that website again?
modernwitchuniversity.com.
Okay.
And so, I just started, as of this year, I just started offering private apprenticeships in Black Rose. And so that kind of takes it and kind of intensifies the work there. But you got a couple different choices. But people can find me on social media. My favorite is Blue Sky. So you can find me there. I am on Facebook. I am on Instagram.
You sound
I'm
like
even on
when someone
Threads.
asked me, "Oh, did you get my message on?" I'm like, I haven't been on Facebook in like a week and a half.
It's also not that reliable. Like I just
Yeah.
had somebody that messaged me on Blue Sky and they said, well, I sent you a message on Facebook, but I never heard back. And I look back, I'm like, I have no message from you,
Right.
so I just hate Meta. But it's better than Elon Musk and the whole Twitter X thing. As soon as he took over there, I was like, I'm out of here. No, thank you. But yeah, I don't know. Social media owned by billionaires. Maybe
Yeah,
not such
that's
a
not
good,
really
maybe not such a good thing.
no. But you're absolutely right there, and it seems that that's who owns all of them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
But anyway, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, my
We
pleasure. Thank you
appreciate
very
you.
much.
And but now when was this actually released? We didn't get that from the publisher.
So this is actually it's re-release. So it was originally
Oh yeah,
done
revised and
in
expanded. Sorry.
it was originally released in 2022, sorry. And from Llewellyn, and that was like March. And then in May of that year, I came out with another book from Llewellyn, The Satyr's Kiss. So I think that because I had done two books back to back, the latest book at the time, Satyr's Kiss, that got more attention. And then the witch's name kind of fell by the wayside. So I don't know, a little while ago, last year, I guess, I got a message from Llewellyn saying that they were discontinuing the witch's name. I guess it just didn't sell that well. So I immediately went to Cross Crow and they said, yes, we would love to re-release it. But we'd like to do an expanded, version. So they wanted at least 10% more material. So I added stuff in there about naming familiars, naming covens and groups, a little bit more with like making magical words. And then now I feel like I just feel very grateful that it has a second lease on life. Because this book in particular, it has so much of my personal story in it,
Right.
and I do think that it's such a topic that people kind of gloss over or they prejudge it. Oh, that's just silly, whatever. And trust me, I get that a lot. People are like, I can't take you seriously with a name like that. Well, I didn't ask you to take me seriously, so I
Right.
guess we're good, right?
Right.
And so I know who my people are. If people are not offended or weirded out by my name, hey, yeah, we can work together. If that really bothers you, then that tells me, yeah, maybe
Yeah, it tells you everything you need to know.
we don't need to work together. That's okay.
Right.
But I'm very grateful that Crossgrow has given me an opportunity to kind of get this out there and a little bit more widely. And I feel like it is getting more attention, now than it did back when it originally came out.
And we're grateful that they asked us to review the book and talk with you and talk about the book. And you know what? Again, I don't know if you've seen any of our episodes. We get sidetracked. Our sidetrack conversations have been awesome also. So I just want to thank you again for your time today.
Thank
Good
you.
luck with everything and the release of the witch's name.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
And we'll send through the publishing company a link to the show.
Yeah, I'll be sending you an email once I get everything edited and posted, where you'll be able to have the audio as well as the video, because we do also post the videos on YouTube.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, you're gonna get the links to both versions. And of course, I always post stuff on Instagram and Facebook as well, so that our listeners know to, hey, check out the new episode because this is what we're doing.
And it's not huge. We're not some big, but which is why this is so freaking cool that Crosscrow asked us to do this.
Yeah,
and having this conversation with you has been really freaking cool.
Thank you.
Because we're just, two people on our couch, having a drink, talking about whatever it is that's going on that we want to talk about at the time. So,
right.
Yeah, I love it.
And we've only been doing this podcast. August will be 3 years. So we're still kind of new. This is going to be episode 88 out of 3 years worth of stuff. So for them to reach out to us and give us this opportunity is just absolutely amazing for us.
And you taking the time.
Yes.
We appreciate it.
And we do definitely appreciate
thank you
taking the time.
Well, I certainly appreciate the opportunity to talk more about my work. Like I said, this is my job,
right,
so
right.
And I'm kind of addicted to eating and paying bills. So, it certainly helps me out. So I'm very
feel free for whatever marketing you need to, if you want to use the videos that we send you or the links that we send you for your marketing of the book, obviously, feel free.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Well, I think that's all.
Yep. You have a wonderful day.
You as well. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Storm, for your time. We appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And yeah, like he said, good luck with everything, especially those new classes you're going to be teaching.
Yeah, and I'm very much looking into that myself.
Certainly let me know. You guys have my email.
Kane come across there. That's me. But
right on. Anyway, thank you so much, guys.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. That was fun.
That was fun.
We hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
We certainly did.
Yes, it was very interesting, fun conversation with Storm Faerywolf.
Storm is super smart and super funny and really fucking down to earth.
Yes.
Like, he's got a lot going on. He's got the store, the teaching. They're starting a new thing.
Right.
And then, of course, book writing, which takes an exuberant amount of time.
Yes. And energy.
Yeah. And well.
Yes, and his apprenticeships in the Black Rose.
Yes.
Which you had wanted to. You said you had.
But I was going to look into.
Yeah.
Just gonna. I'm curious. because we didn't get to ask him what the Black Rose magical.
We could look it up.
Yeah, we can. Which is something we did talk about because people seem to want everything spoon-fed to them. Instead of just looking it up. Like we talked about those witchy groups in Facebook and such. But
yeah, so if you get the opportunity, definitely check out this book, The Witch's Name. Not only does it give information on some of the most commonly used names and how they are pulled, but it also gives exercises on how you can find your magic name, should you choose to get one.
Right.
It's not required. If you don't want one, you don't have to have one.
Yeah, we covered that.
So yeah, definitely take a look into that.
Peace out.
Peace out, witches. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We love you, and we can't wait to see you again.